and one's in a position to be clear about the meaning of one's life and why they're doing what they're doing.
I just want to close up that last loop. We were talking about the self-help and the what's the word? The feeling I was having was when you were saying that is that, again, we're on the outside. I can take all these books. But I'm kind of telling people, hey, listen, you're at your own devices, and your own devices have brought you this far where you haven't.
Your best thinking has got you this
Your
far.
best thinking has gotten you this far, and your behaviors of reading 10% of the book. And this wonderful woman, again, who I bring up a lot, one day she said to me, she goes, I'm paraphrasing, is that we were just, people are just reading the quote. They're just posting the quote of a book that's 200-300 pages. Like there's a whole book and a conversation supporting that process, and they're not understanding that. I read 2 in my life. 2 I heard, and I've stayed with them, and I was like, that's good enough. One was be the change you want to see. Mm-hmm. And I think I got that late 1980s. I'm so old, and I was like, this is a good one. I'm going to run with this my whole life type of thing. Fallen a couple times, but I mean, I like to think this is a reflection of that.
To live by.
And 2, we're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other. That was a line of a U2 song. And we're one, but we're not the same. We get to carry each other.
That works.
And so whatever, I see that. And again, we're on the outside. There are great books to get. The James Clear book, one example in the book is about going to the gym. And there's a gentleman who is told, okay, what you're going to do is you're just going to go home and put your clothes on to go to the gym. Try that for a week. So you see your behavior, where your clothes are.
What does it feel like?
The week after that, I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm going to go in, 15 minutes is the most I get to spend here at the actual gym. And then it kind of builds up from that. And I did the same thing there.
Sounds a lot like exposure therapy.
Fine. So, but again, we're still on the outside. And I'm kind of getting to the point where I say to people, listen, I get it. You got the book, and you're still in the same space. Go get therapy.
Take action.
Take action with a professional.
Okay, so here's the punchline. Oh yeah, here comes my piece with professionals. This is going to be quite positive.
Yeah, take your shot now.
Well, no. A lot of different flavors. We've got Gestalt, transactional analysis, psychoanalysis, Freud, Jung, Byrne, Wittgenstein, philosophy psychologists. Oh, don't forget Buddha. We get invested in our school of thought. I'm a Rogerian, da-da-da-da. So 20-odd years ago, starting in this field, I wanted to pick the right path, right? So I did my research. Which one works? Well, smarter minds than we did the macro studies because we're, however many 100 years into psychotherapy and outcomes. Macro studies indicate they all work. The 90% factor is, brace yourself, rapport. Is there emotional safety? Do you actually kind of like the person? That is 90% of it. Methodology actually isn't that important. It will facilitate and induce change and growth. It's true. Now, therapists, we get very invested in what we do. I used to work with photographers, and I'm a sports photographer. I'm a wedding photographer. My position was, got to make a living, got a mouth to feed. You actually could probably take a really great picture of anything if you know what you're doing. In my mind, a good clinician therapist is going to have multiple tools to use. Don't be a one-note song because you're going to need to be really adaptable because you're going to get a whole range of people that are going to need different things. So why EMDR? It can be short and sweet. Get in, focus on the one thing, beaver away at it. What I'm finding is, even with folks that have, I think my record was something like 62. Somebody's had 62 distinct traumas on their list. This is somebody in their early 60s. At the end of the day, we kind of clustered the stuff up, and in about 5 months had kind of pressure washed through this stuff. And they were in a very different place. It's very, very proactive. You show up and you do this thing. It's very different from showing up and complaining about mom and dad for an hour and having a paid friend. there's the shot. If one man's opinion, if somebody is still talking about mommy and daddy at the 4 or 5 month mark and there isn't been any progress, somebody's not doing their job. So that's more of a social work position. We want to get stuff done. It's got to be movement. We want value. Don't waste time. Don't waste money. This is expensive no matter how low you can go. Anything more than $30 is a commitment.
With that said, to wrap this up, how can people get a hold of you now? As this goes on YouTube and it goes onto this website as well, I'll have your contact information there. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the listener? And there will be a part 2, because I can tell there's so much more, but we're going to finish this up, and there will be a part 2 that comes up. We'll do it at some point. But is there anything else you'd like to say to the listener?
Simply that I'm incredibly grateful for what you're doing, and putting this forward. As I mentioned earlier, this is something that I've wanted to get closer to for quite a while in terms of disseminating these ideas, these modalities. There's more than one flavor, and none of them are perfect. But buyer beware. Know what you're getting into. If you're considering getting mental health support, need to be aware what's a good fit for you. Someone younger, someone older, a male, a female, a specific orientation or cultural orientation, and go with what you think is going to be appropriate. Do not, I repeat, do not be afraid to question or be quite directive with your quote-unquote therapist. If you don't like what they're saying, say so. Question it. That in itself, just like how I get my clients to text me if they feel like their head's going under, that might be the first time you actually stand up to power. Wait a minute, that didn't make sense. Brian, why would you say that? Oh, well, that in itself, it can be a phenomenally therapeutic thing. I don't know about you. I don't think I really stood up to anybody until I was about 18. And we were all trying to figure this stuff out, breaking through the family programming. So for the listeners, VancouverTraumaRecovery.com. On the web, I've got clients all over the world now. Hooray for COVID and Zoom. It actually works phenomenally well on Zoom. Is there a je ne sais quoi 2% factor of doing it in person? Yeah, there's something to be said for the eye hug, and it does work better in 3 dimensions. It's been my experience. What I really love doing with people is the 30-minute consult. Do those around noon hour some days, and just having a chat about, okay, what's going on, what's going to be the best fit for you. That's critically important, I think, as well. If I think something is going to work better for you, I'll say so. That's also really important too. If you're shopping around, be a little leery if people are getting enthusiastic about, yeah, we should start tomorrow. You really need this, and just put your credit card in here. Yeah, just saying.
With that said, thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. It's a real honor.